All right, Democratic congressional leaders vowing to protect a woman's right to choose at all costs now that a decision by the Supreme Court is likely to overturn Roe versus Wade. Tensions are certainly high on Capitol Hill among protesters and politicians alike.
If we had to pick a word that our caucus feels, it's infuriated. Infuriated by the alleged decision, infuriated by the lies these justices told us when they said they'd respect precedent, infuriated by our Republican colleagues who don't tell the truth.
Members of the House saw this coming months ago and passed the Women's Health Protection Act last September, which sought to protect a woman's right to choose. Congressman Richie Torres of the Bronx voted in favor of that bill. He joins us now this Wednesday morning to discuss what everybody is curious about, where we go from here. Congressman Torres, thank you so much for being with us.
An honor to be here.
Yes. So, of course, we have been covering these demonstrations taking place on the steps of the Capitol. A lot of people obviously protesting what could be. From your vantage point, what is the mood there on Capitol Hill now that the reality has finally set in and it does look like the Supreme Court is likely to overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, here in Washington, D.C., we're in a state of shock. You know, if the league majority opinion is any indication, the court is almost certainly moving in the direction of striking down Roe versus Wade, which would be one of the most disgraceful and dangerous decisions in the history of our country. And if the court were to overturn Roe, abortion would become illegal immediately in 13 states and could become illegal in as many as half of the states. And if the decision were to be overruled, states would have the ability to criminalize abortion as if it were murder, to criminalize anyone or anything that aids abortion in any way. States would have the ability to ban abortion in cases of incest and rape, in cases where a woman's health is in danger. So I find it terrifying. I never imagined that a woman in 2022 would have less control over her own body, less equality and privacy than women did in 1973. It's horrifying.
Congressman, Democratic leaders, they're certainly determined to protect abortion rights. Senator Schumer is holding a vote next week to codify rights into a federal law, but the Senate's hands are tied. We know that because of the filibuster. So what happens now?
So even before the draft opinion of overturning Roe, in 2021, we saw state legislatures pass more anti-abortion restrictions than in any year since 1973. And so given the wave of anti-abortion restrictions, the House of Representatives passed the Women's Health Protection Act, which would codify Roe versus Wade in federal law, which would protect a woman's right to choose from medically unnecessary restrictions. We passed it in the House back in September, but it must pass the Senate, and the greatest stumbling block on the path to progress is the filibuster. And Joe Manchin has made it clear that he has no intention of changing his position. So that's the challenge that we're facing going forward.
Right. And Congressman, a lot of folks have said that Democrats dropped the ball. As we alluded to, they saw this coming. It's not a complete surprise here that there was not some type of preemptive action taken, like we mentioned, getting rid of the filibuster, even packing the court. But at this point, what other steps can Congress take, congressional Democrats take to protect abortion rights?
Well, we need to put pressure on the Senate to abolish the filibuster and pass the Women's Health Protection Act. And we need to ensure that state legislatures are passing protections for women's rights because the role of the state legislatures are going to become more important than ever before. The Supreme Court is threatening to set America back, to turn the clock back by 50 years.
Congressman, abortion is certainly going to be the deciding factor in these upcoming midterm elections. Do you think this is going to be enough to mobilize Democrats to come out and vote? What kind of reaction do you expect?
Who knows for sure, but I have to imagine stripping millions of women of control over their own bodies is ultimately going to backfire against the Republican Party. It is unacceptable. The overwhelming majority of Americans, Democrats, independents, and many Republicans, support the right of women to make decisions about their own bodies. I mean, if the government can determine whether you can have an abortion, whether you can control your own body, then where do you draw the line? Can the government determine whom you can marry? whether you can use contraception, how you can raise your children. It's not only about abortion. This is about a larger notion of gender equality and privacy, which is now under assault and which we can no longer take for granted.
And so many things hinged on what was once that legal fact. At this point, Congressman, do you know if there are any strategy sessions in the works now for House Democrats and folks in the Senate to come together and figure out how to handle this?
Well, we in the House, we're returning to we're returning from recess and back to session on Tuesday of next week. And this will be on the top of our agenda. It's weighing heavily on all of us, and all of us are just shocked by the radicalism of the Supreme Court. I mean, Roe versus Wade is a decision that dates back more than half a century, and it's been affirmed and reaffirmed repeatedly. And to see these so-called conservative judges overturn a tradition that dates back a half a century makes a mockery of true conservatism.
Right. And we know you will continue your work supporting women's rights. Congressman Richie Torres, thank you so much for being with us and your insights.
Absolutely.